Hi there. In this video, I'm going to talk about two very divergent sort of options in the field of data science. At one end, I'm going to talk about, why a master's in business analytics is a good career option and what that entails. And this will then be compared with the master's in data science. Right, so slightly differing career paths, even though they all fall within this field that we understand as data science. My name is Anand Venkatesan. I'm the founder, mentor of this platform called Mentors Capital. We are a networking platform. We help students connect with mentors from across the globe. And hopefully, we believe that this will help you make better decisions. All right, so let's get this session started then. So data is the new buzzword. We keep hearing about this all the time. I don't think I need to tell you that data science is something which is literally a 21st century job skill. But I think first and foremost, if you're watching this video, if data science intrigues you, if you are considering a master's in data science or something like that in the future, then please keep in mind that data science is a field that is a domain that falls in the intersection. As you can see in the Venn diagram, the innermost region is the overlap of three broad disciplines, right? That we're talking about math and statistics, need to be good at that, need to understand or work with programming, computer programming, and last but not the least is that you need to have some domain knowledge. The company or the specific function that you work in, you must be an expert or at least have more than a basic understanding in that field, right? And today I think it's data science is a 21st century job skill pretty much because it applies in every field. And in specifically talking about management or the popular fields therein, finance, marketing, supply chain, it's everywhere. If it's not about these popular management functions, it could be industry wise, right? You're talking about manufacturing, energy sector, you're talking about consumer products, you're talking about HR, right? Everywhere data science, analytics, and modeling have really carved out a new path for those particular industries or domains, right? So it's applicable pretty much everywhere, and in today's world, I think this is the most lucrative option for you. Big fat salaries. In the next video, I will actually give you some perspective on the various job roles available and what kind of salaries they bring, right? And some of the top salaries in the US today are commanded by data scientists, right? The moment you finish your masters and you get hired by a big multinational firm, that paycheck is going to be worth every sleepless night that you spent right now. So keep that in mind. And with that introduction, let's dive straight into the crux of this session. Like I said before, most of us have this misunderstanding about data science is one field and analytics and data science are pretty much different ways of saying the same thing. Well, that's actually that's partly true, but still there is a nuance that associated with it that you need to understand, right? So let's talk about this, right? So data analytics at one end and data science on the other. At the onset, maybe the initial perspective you need to keep is that the big word here is analytics, right? Which sort of creeps up from analysis. And so analytics is a little more than just doing analysis on past data, maybe past sales data, or past customer feedback, etc., etc. But you don't just crunch out past numbers for profit, sales, or cost. You actually are trying to spot trends in it, right? So analysis will be a little post, about data which is already in the past, but you're hopefully identifying trends which could be valuable on a year-to-year basis. Most companies, perform trend analysis and say that, hey, this is kind of seasonality that comes in. A festive season brings in this kind of a peak in my sale. So a lot of data related insights that you can draw. And obviously the job of a data analyst or the job of somebody employed within analytics is to use those insights, convey those insights to your team, because a data analyst will be part of a larger team. And this team would be composed of many people from differing profiles. You'll have a data engineer, you'll have a data architect, you might have a data scientist, and then, even within each of those roles, there are tiers, right? So a big team, and the analytics guy is the guy who looks at, large tracts of data, analyzes it, also displays it in a meaningful way to his audience, right? So there's a bit of visualization also that's involved here. And finally, I think the idea is that you need to understand the business, right? Because without that understanding, you would not know what to show. You would not know how important this is, and you would not be able to help your team make better decisions, right? So that's general idea of data analytics. For that reason, I think analytics is a field which is preferred, by somebody with, a technical or a non-technical background, which means you could be you could have done your engineering, a 4-year undergraduate degree, or you could have maybe even done a commerce or a degree in economics, right? But notwithstanding that, you need to be passionate about data. You need to be interested about data, or you also need to have ideally perspective on a particular sector or industry or domain, because this could be by way of projects or internships. It could also be by way of actual work experience, having worked with digital marketing firms for the last 3 years. Maybe you understand what the clients want, and maybe you can build you know you can build a series of visualizations that will help retain your clients, or maybe even bring in newer ones, right? So that's the idea. The skills required for that reason include programming, right? Even if you are from a non-technical background, I think you need to have invested your time in skilling yourself with programming. Basic programming languages today include Python or R, but then also some queries, some languages to do a little bit of modeling, a little bit of analysis, right? Excel, or Excel is actually quite old and still preferable, but SQL or Excel work. And obviously, because you need to visualize, you need to showcase your insights. There's also the need to be comfortable around visualization tools, right? Like Tableau or others, Click or others of the same nature, right? While work experience is not really useful, not really required, it can really make the ease of getting a job better on you, right? So you will find it easy to get employed if you have some experience and you've applied a little bit of programming and you've worked on a few projects here and there. Just makes your job, chances of getting chances of getting hired better. Okay, at the other end though is data science, right? Now, much like anything else, data science also, a data scientist also does most of the things that we called out for a data analyst. So then how is he different? How is the role different? Well, a data scientist is not so much concerned with trends. Is not so much concerned with, hey, can we look at past data, create insights, and just help the team with a specific, well-defined problem? No, a data scientist is actually looking at large unstructured data, and in fact, maybe few unstructured questions as well, right? How do I improve customer service? Right now, that's a very broad question. We don't have the metric for it. We don't have the solution for it, which means the task of a data scientist now becomes, to first look at the data, right? Now, unfortunately or fortunately, a data scientist will not be involved with the initial steps. So he'll be assisted by the data engineer, by the analyst on his team, who will fetch the data that he needs, right? Although at the beginning phases as a data scientist, you might also have to do a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of data extraction, right? But maybe a few queries, right? Running a few queries. But I think the primary task that the data scientist will do or is expected to do is to model that data, right? Use a variety of tools like regression analysis, like run algorithms, right? Run data modeling techniques, right? Or even build predictive models that could use past data and maybe predict the future, right? And I mean, while these might sound pretty basic, it can get quite complicated very soon, because a data scientist is also going to be involved with big data, and big data techniques involve the use of machine learning, of artificial intelligence, and the associated software you need for those, which include Hadoop, or Spark, and obviously you need to have a command over modeling, and end of the day, all the insights that you're able to glean from the data still need to be presented to the client. So visualization, I think, is something which is almost mandatory for everybody in the field of data science, right? But also to know how to work with machine learning programs, neural networks, natural language processing. We're talking about regressions and a lot of quant heavy, programming heavy stuff, right? And the moment you sort of visualize the kind of work you know the data scientist does, you can see that it's a little more tech savvy, it's a little more quantitative in nature, and that sort of reflects in the kind of job profiles that, or candidate profiles that apply for a master's in data science. Is that they need to be, most of them are from a STEM background, but even the ones who are not, put in the time to upskill themselves and apply what they've learned by way of programming languages, by way of data warehousing techniques, by way of Tableau and visualization. Apply those on specific projects, maybe in a year or so of employment. Because well, I think to be a data scientist, the primary requirement is your ability to work with those softwares, is to apply modeling techniques, regression techniques, and make sense of data which might be unstructured to begin with, right? So I hope you're able to sort of understand the difference between an analyst and a data scientist, right? Both, by the way, are very, very lucrative, very, very growth oriented careers. But while an analytics guy might be more domain focused, maybe a little more functional, and uses data selectively to suit his business needs, a data scientist is through and through a data guy, is through and through a technical person who deals with unstructured data, who deals with uncertainty, maybe even open-ended answers which might not always make sense. In fact, probably he won't even get answers all the time, right? And that's the beauty of being a data scientist. All right, I will continue with my rant about data science and data analytics, but before I do so, quickly a few words about us. Our website is mentorscapital.com, and like I said before, our basic philosophy is around mentorship, right? And mentoring can really play a key role if you're looking to apply or study abroad, and it can add value in many ways. You could speak to a mentor, asking him or her about how the particular course was chosen. Like, for example, is data science for me or is it data analytics? And maybe a quick conversation with an expert who can just ask you the right questions and glean out saying, hey, I think you should be targeting data science, and then these are the next set of steps you need to do, and this is the kind of niche that you should try and establish in the market, right? So plenty of advice that's very, very practical and comes right from an expert's mouth. And so how does it work for you? Well, very simple. We've got a website. You can access them on your tablet or your phone, and just key in the URL. That's www.mentorscapital.com, and lo and behold, once you choose to study abroad or study in India, a long list of mentor profiles will appear in your screen. It won't look like this, but I think this is representative, right? So you, forget the fact that this all seems to be a little more management oriented. I can guarantee you there's mentors from all different fields, including medicine and the humanities and social science and public service, right? So please feel free to explore irrespective of domain. And once you find the profile that you find interesting or matches with your background, put in a request for a one-on-one mentorship session, and we'll make that happen for you. And the firm belief is that, hey, this will really, really go a long way in you making smart, impactful decisions when it comes to what to study and where to study from, right? Do check out our channel. That's the link given at the bottom of the screen. And besides one-on-one mentorship, Mentors Capital also offers you a lot of services that you might find useful, right? At one stage, we can help you with that last hurdle of cracking the interview or the video assessment that universities today are so commonly asking, right? We can also help you with the end-to-end application management, which means you begin with shortlisting schools. We'll speak with mentors. We'll try and get that process as scientific as possible, as practical as possible, and then we'll transition into the applications themselves. Should we tier them in and then apply different timelines? Let's create the essays, make sure that they make a good account of you. And finally, let's also look at scholarships and make sure that we get at least one or more of those, right? And besides the application, we've also been for the past decade or so training students for a variety of entrance exams like the GRE, GMAT, SAT, TOEFL, or even the IELTS, right? So entire bouquet of services that are offered by us. Don't forget to check out www.mentorscapital.com. All right. Now, since we're here, the parting thought I wanted to leave you with is, how do you decide, right? What a data analyst, I think I've told you more or less what a data analyst does, but how do you decide whether it applies for you or not, whether you'd like to do something like this or not, right? So the first sort of overarching thought you should have is that a data analyst is somebody who has a horizontal expertise, right? Which means the moment you talk in verticals and horizontals, it becomes obvious that vertical would probably be a limited domain, but horizontal expertise would mean expertise or knowledge in multiple domains, right? And that's the cross-functional aspect that a data analyst should typically be dealing with. If you're that kind of a person, you like structure, not too much depth of technical knowledge, but you still want to answer businesses problems and come up with insightful solutions, right? So then this job is for you. Ideal profile, well, it would help if you have a technical education, a STEM program. But even if it's not a STEM program, if you come from a non-STEM program, as long as you've shown a sufficient inclination towards data by way of projects, by way of online courses, by way of internships, I think data analyst is a profile that suits you, right? Do you need to get technical with it? Partly yes, because most data science programs will need a working understanding of math, computer programming, and business domain knowledge. But I think the data analyst profile does not require you to be over proficient in the technical stuff, the hardcore computer programming. Maybe if you can understand the math behind it and the business rationale behind it, knowing the programming bit somewhat might be enough, right? Well, what kind of jobs are you looking at? Well, analysts are across the board, right? So you, literally speaking, you would prefer to go in for a particular function and apply data science and analytics in that profile, which means that you're probably gearing up for a business analyst role in a startup or a particular company. That's maybe it's a business analyst role in the finance sector or in the marketing sector or in the HR sector. And each of those, the moment you get into a specific center, it becomes a marketing analyst or a financial analyst or a consulting analyst, right? But even if it's not within a particular company, a data analyst profile in startups today that are very, very data heavy, and in terms of architecture and in terms of the value that they add, you could just be a threadbare analyst, but remember, you're still going to be have to be an expert on the business that you're working for, right? And last but not the least, what kind of sectors? Well, data analytics is everywhere, but I think the hot sectors today are technology, consulting, and most B schools, most analytics programs find their students joining IT firms, joining specific functions like finance or marketing or HR, or specific industries like consumer products, like healthcare startups, like or even a lot of startups that are mushrooming today, right? So a very, very large variety of options that you can create by pursuing a master's in business analytics and opening up the doors for analytics in your life, right? As opposed to that of a data scientist who is not really a generalist, who doesn't want to work across different functions, who seems to prefer to be an expert in a very specific narrow field, and that narrow field is within the realm of data, not HR or marketing or science. And so the ideal profile is a strong STEM background. Even if it's not a STEM background, you need to show an inclination for math and programming. And in this case, the prowess in programming needs to be much, much stronger. I think today programming and learning Python is very, very easy. So make sure that you learn the programming language, but you also explore its application on real-time projects, right? A lot of opportunities today are available online. So make sure that you get those done and show and display rigor in analytics, in computer science and programming, right? And that this is something that's almost a requirement by all master in data science programs, right? Well, do they require work experience? Ideally not, but I mean, I've known of freshers getting into master's programs, but a little bit of experience can actually help you out because you understand the kind of projects and the kind of structure that data scientists work with, right? The typical preference is for a heavily technical role, and such roles could involve becoming a machine learning engineer or an ML designer or an ML architect or a data architect or enterprise architect or other such roles. Or maybe at the future you're trying to just go for the C-suite executive in a particular company, right? And basically top management, because your insights and your modeling drives the business more than anything else, right? What kind of industry are you looking at? Again, the industry are more or less similar to analytics. You're still looking at tech and entertainment and pharma, healthcare, telecom, and most startups today are the possible destination for you, right? So you'll notice that there is a big overlap between the work of a data science and an analyst. In fact, most cases they work together as independent units within this particular team. But then there are these differences, right? So the better you appreciate the differences, the better your choice when you're applying for a master's in this particular domain. Well, thanks for your time. I hope that this made your life a little simpler. If you have any queries, write into me. My email is shown right there, anand@mentorscapital.com. You can send us a WhatsApp message in case you want us to call you back, right? That's the number written over there. And finally, in case you want us to call you back and are not comfortable sharing your information, then just visit our website and drop us a note, and we'll arrange for a call back, right? Thank you everybody, and hope to see you very, very soon again.